Hello, hello, hello. Good morning and welcome to Just a Thought. I'm your host, Jeff Spates, and today we are talking about making choices. This week in America, we were tasked with making a choice in our political system. And it got me to thinking about when we make choices, how does that decision affect our lives? Whether you voted Republican or Democrat is not what we're talking about today. We're talking about the decision-making process we can take in order to come to our final decision. We'll be talking about choices that we make on our jobs, in our relationships, and talking about the choices we make in terms of health and wellness. Today's episode is going to challenge you to really put some thought in the decisions that you make in your life and to be absolutely sure behind your final decision. But before we get into our topic today, I want to throw a shout out to a few people who not only support Just a Thought, but are tuning in around the world. First and foremost, I want to shout out the crew over at 97.3 FM. Thank you so much to the executive team and the rest of the team for all your support and helping me to get this content out to you. I want to say what's up to my friends in Dallas, Texas, working at McKesson, Donna Bright, Tommy, Stephen, Michaela. Thanks for tuning in today from the Lone Star State. Your support is greatly appreciated. I want to say hello to the Spires family, Brittany and Tommy, and family across the lake in Milwaukee who are tuning in today. And last but not least, I want to shout out to a friend of mine, Steve James, who's listening to Just a Thought on a beach in the Grill, Jamaica. Wish I could be there with your brother. But thank you for tuning in and for making the choice to listen to Just a Thought today. If this is your first time hearing this show, I wanted to give you an idea of what this show is all about. You tune in every Sunday to 97.3 FM for the inspiring music. You may pull out your Bible and read the Word, or you may even go to church. All of those efforts are steps to help you fill your cup. But life happens and people always try to push us to a point that our cup becomes empty. This show talks about issues that empty your cup. And I try to give you suggestions that help you navigate life and keep your cup from being completely empty. Your cup may be full today, but will it be as full on Tuesday afternoon? Or how about will your cup be full on Thursday night after dealing with problem after problem? This show is designed to help you deal with that. And as mentioned before, we'll be talking about making choices. The first area that we want to look at is the choices that we make in our careers and in our jobs. That moment when doubt creeps in and we wonder, what if I had chosen differently? Today, I want to talk about those career crossroads that one leaves us pondering the path that we didn't take. Why do these what if moments haunt us? Well, our careers are deeply tied to our sense of self and purpose. A misstep in this area can feel like a misfire in our own very identity. But here's the thing. Regret is a powerful teacher if we let it be. So let's explore this together. What's the one career choice you most regret? Now, according to studies, the three things that come to mind is not asking for a pay raise, not putting in a work-life balance, or staying on a job too long. The next question you'd have to ask is, what's holding you back from making a change? Some may say, I can't make a change because I don't know what to do. You might not have the knowledge base on what you need to do to make a change. In order to answer that question, you can always Google and do some research to find out what changes you need to make. Some of you may worry that if I decide to make a career change, that the change might not work out. The fear of failure or the fear of unknown. You may be worried that you will end up making less money or taking a step backwards. You also may not have an idea how you can use your skills and interests in other roles or in other industries. But the question I have to ask you is, are you settling, or is this truly the path for you? So Some of you may feel stuck in a field that doesn't fulfill you. Others might be succeeding but feel unaligned with your passions. Either way, there's a sense of, is this it? That's a scary question, but also a potent one. It means you're ready to kind of figure things out. So, in the do over mindset, regret is always a signal. Listen to it. What's the root of your dissatisfaction? If you're ever in a situation where you regret something, that's a perfect opportunity to kind of think about the regret and think about why you feel the way you feel. You're not defined by your past choices. Yeah, we all make bad choices, we make dumb decisions, but that doesn't have to define your life. For some reason, if you make a decision that isn't as good or doesn't help you or put you in a positive situation, that's an opportunity for growth, and that's an opportunity for you to learn what not to do the next time. We put immense pressure on our early career decisions as if they'll dictate our entire lives. But the truth is, people change. We change. Interests evolve, new doors open as we grow. Embrace this as a strength and not as a weakness. The intentional path, what truly motivates you? And once you figure out what motivates you, you cannot settle for less. Break the mold. Don't follow a path just because it's expected for you to follow it. Small steps today means a new tomorrow. What's one change you can make right now? In terms of your career, if you're not happy with your job, you can always go online. Go to Indeed.com. See what jobs are out there. See what they're paying. You might want to consider education, going back to school, taking a class, sharpening up the knives, sharpening up your skills. It's about progress. It's not about perfection. And maybe that means, like I said, taking a class, networking in a new field, get out there and meet some new people, or even starting something on the side. The key is to honor your inner voice, that voice that knows what truly fulfills you. So I'm going to have a call to action right now. If you're not happy with your current career life, if you're not happy with the way that your job is going, if you don't like the people you work around, if you don't like the job that you do, where you work, your boss, and you get frustrated, depressed, or feel a sense of anxiety every time you got to go punch that clock, it's time for you to stand up and do something different. If it comes down to it, start writing down what a career or ideal career looks like for you. What is the ideal job? What hours do you work? Do you want to work on the weekend? Do you want to work from home? Do you want to travel for your job? These are some of the questions that you deserve to ask yourself when you're going to take on this endeavor. And make it vivid. Be as specific as far as what you want as possible in this goal setting endeavor. Another thing you can do is seek out mentors living the life that you want. The best way to get to where you want to be is to surround yourself with people who are already there and become a student. Open up your brain and try to learn how they got there, got to the place of where they're at, and try to implement those things into your own life. And you also want to create a space for exploration. Schedule time to pursue new interests. And I tell my clients all the time, take 17 minutes a day to better yourself. If you invest 17 minutes a day for one calendar year into a skill, learning a new language, learning how to play the piano, learning, doing exercise, learning how to cook. If you do it every day and you commit yourself 17 minutes a day for a calendar year, studies have shown that you will be 95% better at that skill than others, than most people. So I highly encourage you to consider doing that. You owe it to yourself to explore, to ask the what ifs and face them head on. Your career is your creation. Don't let past choices limit the masterpiece that you're trying to build. See, the past always gets in our way. We kind of judge how far we can go based on past experiences. And that can be one of the biggest crutches in our lives. Um, if you can't find a way to, heal from your past, heal from mistakes, we're going to make mistakes. We're going to make wrong decisions and we're going to have a ton of regret. It's not how you fall down, it's how you get back up. I'm encouraging you to, if you're unhappy with your job, if you hate where you work, you want to do better, I'm encouraging you to take the time to invest in yourself, because if you find that motivation to invest in yourself, not only are you benefiting yourself, you're benefiting those around you, and you're really teaching a skill that you can pass along to others because you can speak from a point of experience. Remember, the biggest risk is settling for a life that doesn't truly resonate with your soul. Too many times, folks, as we get older, we get into the routine of life. We get into our routines of, what we got to do Monday through Friday, and we tend to get stuck. And when you get stuck, what usually happens is that fire, that motivation that you once had, it's just not there anymore. I'm encouraging you and everyone listening to the sound of my voice, break that chain today. Break it up, because really there's a new person inside you waiting to come out. You have skills, you have talents, you have abilities that the world deserves to know that are there. And through offering those skills, talents, and abilities, you can help other people elevate their lives and get to a better place. The power to redesign is in your hands. What does redesignation means? It's okay to not know what to do. That's what research is for. That's what conversations are for. But if you are truly tired of the way that your life is going, if you're sick of dealing with the same drama, and it's like being a hamster on a wheel and you're just spinning in circles and not really going anywhere, I'm encouraging you today and this week to take a different look at something different. Get online, look for jobs. If you don't have the skill set that you need for the job that you want, then it's up to you to get educated. Read a book. Go to Barnes and Nobles. Go pick up a instruction manual or a book on a skill that you want to learn. If you don't have the money, you can always go to YouTube. YouTube has videos on how to do almost anything and everything. There is ways to continue to educate yourself. You're never too old to learn. You're never too young to learn. And if you really professionally want to be the best person that you can be, the way to show value to corporate America is to show that you're willing to learn, that you don't know everything, and that you're willing to continue to add more and more layers to your personal portfolio. You deserve that. You deserve to do that. And in this, competitive market, the more you know, the more valuable that you are. So when you go back to your boss and say, hey, I've worked on this job for 3 years and haven't gotten a raise, but in the meantime, I have learned how to do A, B, C, and you show the value to your employer that they need to give you more money and they don't, then it's kind of telling you what you need to do. So I encourage everyone to keep growing, keep building, keep adding to your bag, because at the end of the day, we want to maximize our opportunity in the workforce. Think about it like this. If you got to get up in the morning and you're away from your family, you're away from your kids to put food on the table and to keep the lights on, why not put yourself in a position to maximize that, to make the most money that you can possibly make? But you also have to remember, you got to work hard for it. People are not going to give you anything. But if you put in the hard work, you do the things that you need to do, and if you dedicate yourself day in and day out to do the best possible job that you can do on your job, then things should work out for you. And if they don't, then you know that you got to make some different choices. We'll be right back after these messages in about 2 minutes.
Mondays just got a whole lot better. Get ready for a weekly boost of motivation and inspiration right here on 97.3 FM and streaming at www.theheat973.com. Introducing Just a Thought, your new go-to show for empowering ideas and strategies to unleash your best. I'm your host, Jeff Spates, and I can't wait to connect with you every Sunday from 10 to 11. From overcoming challenges to achieving your dreams, we'll dive into the powerful thoughts that can transform your life. Because with just a thought, a little inspiration can go a long way. So tune in, turn it up, and get ready to kickstart your week with purpose. Just a Thought with Jeff Spates, Sunday at 10 on 97.3 FM and streaming at www.theheat973.com. See you there.
And welcome back to Just a Thought. I'm your host, Jeff Spates. And today we're talking about making choices. In our first segment, we talked about the choices that we make in our career. This next segment, we're talking about choices that we make in our personal relationships, either with our significant other or with our kids. But making correct choices in relationships and how to navigate these things can go wrong. But the importance of making correct choices first start with having self-respect. Choosing a partner who respects you and values you and helps you maintain your self-worth. If you don't like yourself, if you don't love yourself, how can you expect someone else to love you? So it starts with self, looking in the mirror. Another thing that you have to do is set clear boundaries. Boundaries show that you value your personal space and your emotional needs. You're not afraid to say no when something doesn't align with your values. And that's the thing that we have to learn in life, especially as adults. We have to learn to tell people no, N-O, no. And just because a person tells you N-O, no, doesn't mean that they're saying N-O, no, because they don't K-N-O-W, no, enough to say yes. So telling a person no and why is a very powerful thing to do in a relationship, but you gotta, explain what your no means and why that value doesn't align with your life. You also have to learn how to prioritize your needs. You understand that self-care is not selfish. If you want to treat yourself to a massage, or you want to take yourself out for a nice meal, or if you want to spend some money on you from time to time, there's nothing wrong with doing that. But some people in your circle might view that as selfish, but that's a part of life that you really need to do. You make time for yourself and don't put your needs on the back burner just to keep the peace. For so many years in my life, I had shut my mouth and kind of just went with the flow, just not to rock the boat. And it didn't serve me well. And so it took me, some time to learn that I can't do that anymore in relationships. If there's something that's not making me happy, I'm not going to shut up to keep the peace, because inside I'm unpeaceful. And eventually, when you're unpeaceful, when you're upset, when you're in your feelings, you might be able to hide it for a period of time, but ultimately that's going to surface out and it's going to affect the relationship. You make decisions based on your values, whether it's deciding what kind of relationship you want or how you spend your time. Your values guide your choices. So, for example, I don't know if you ever heard the word or the phrase, a bird of a feather flocks together. We tend to hang out with people that like the same things that we like, the same music, or do the same things. But I'm telling you, whether it's deciding what kind of relationship you want to have and how you spend your time, you have to value your choices day in and day out. Also, too, in the importance of making correct choices, you are assertive in your communication. And what I mean by that is you're not afraid to express what you need and when you need it, even if the conversation is difficult, even if you make someone mad, even if you make them upset. You have to be assertive and you got to let a person know how you feel and where you stand. Because in a relationship, communication is the key, and your significant other is not your mind reader. So you have to be very clear in terms of what you want and how you feel. Assertiveness shows you respect your thoughts and your feelings, and you expect those that you come in contact with to respect and value your thoughts and feelings as well. You don't have to seek validation from others either. You know your worth without needing constant reassurance from your partner or anyone else. Your sense of self is strong and it's independent. When you make a good choice and you feel good about it, there's nothing that nobody can say to you to alter that choice or to alter your decision. But when you're intentional, when you think things through from A to Z, before making this decision, usually that choice works in your favor. And you also need to take responsibility for your actions. You own your mistakes and you make amends when necessary. Accountability is a sign of maturity and self respect. Accountability is one of those things here in 2024 that people tend to run away from. People are always so quick to tell you how bad you are. They're quick to tell you, the things that you do wrong. They're quick to point out, all of your shortcomings. But when it comes to them, they seem to have, memory loss. They don't seem to remember anything anymore. And that's funny how that happens because really, if you want to be the best person in this world, we're all going to screw up. If you admit that you made a mistake, and especially if you apologize, that 9 times out of 10 diffuses, deflates the entire situation, and you really gain respect from the person that you apologize to because everybody just doesn't do it anymore. If we learn to get back to just saying, I'm sorry when we mess up, that would set us up for, a huge, huge, good life for ourselves. So yeah, it's very important to make correct choices. It's very important to be very, intentional in the decisions that you make that affect your life. And you really need to surround yourself with like-minded, positive people. If you have a network of haters in your life, if you have people who find joy when you have problems or go through drama or go through issues, those are not the people that you need in your life. In fact, those are the people that drain our cup. They drain our energy. They drain our motivation. They leave us less than inspired. But all in all, we have a choice whether or not to surround ourselves with that type of energy or not. You choose relationships that uplift you and inspire you. And if you don't know how to do it, I'm telling you right now, the minute you start cutting off that dead weight, the minute that you start, realizing that people don't have good intentions for you and you cut them off, God somehow sends people in your life that align with what you're trying to do. God sends people in your life that are better friends, that are better lovers, that are better everything because you're not being judged. You're not being criticized. Toxic behavior, toxic relationships are draining, and it's something that you should not tolerate. It's something that if you're in one right now, I highly encourage you, let it go. Get out of it. Run. Because when you're in a toxic relationship, let's say you break it off today, it will take a significant amount of time just to heal from that. And so when the opportunity presents yourself to go into another relationship, You will have the knowledge of what toxic looks like and what not to bring into a new relationship. You also have to respect other people's boundaries. Just as you protect your own space, you respect the boundaries of your partner and others, understanding that mutual respect strengthens all relationships. So, I watch a lot of social media and I see couples going through cell phones. I see couples, going through the cell phone, going through messages. I'm seeing a lot of insecurity in the world. I'm seeing people that crosses boundaries and don't really care, what you're going through. They want the information when they want it. And on some levels, when a person crosses your boundaries, that shows two things to me. Number one, they don't care what you think. And number two, they don't respect you. And in relationships, when that level of respect is broken, I can't speak for you, but I can't be the same person as I was before the disrespect happened. So I'm very cautious on how I communicate in relationships. And I encourage you to be the same way, because the first time that you're disrespectful to your partner, the first time you say something crazy or out of the box, is never the same. You have to also accept a growth mindset. You have to believe in personal growth and are always looking for ways to improve not only yourself, but your relationship. Self-respect fuels that drive to become better. And please, please, please do not tolerate disrespect. When someone crosses a line, you can't let it slide. The first time you let it slide, it becomes easier for them to do it the next time. Stand up for yourself and make it abundantly clear that you expect to be treated correctly. You deserve happiness. Being with someone who aligns with your needs and values leads to a greater overall happiness. You deserve to be with someone that helps you grow. Healthy relationships support personal growth, supports personal development, is exactly what you need. And when you're in a healthy relationship, you become a role model, especially for kids. They start to see what a positive relationship looks like. It sets a great example. It teaches the young girls what kind of guy they should be dating. It teaches the guys how to treat a woman. We need a class like that in school nowadays, just on common decency of how to treat each other. And then our well-being. Unhealthy relationships can negatively impact mental and physical health. Red flags are people who disregard your boundaries, dishonesty, controlling behavior. Red flags and signs of wrong choices can make you feel drained. The relationship leaves you consistently feeling bad about yourself. Wrong choices make you realize that potentially there's some incompatibility. Fundamental differences in values or long-term goals. That's where communication comes in. Are you guys on the same page? When you realize that you made the wrong choice, you also realize the lack of support that you don't have. Your partner doesn't support your dreams. He or she doesn't support your aspirations and goals. And that right there is why we need to take the time to vet a person and make the right choices when it comes to relationships. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into this after this break. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Jeff Spates from Just a Thought. Thought of the day is, if you don't come from a healthy family, make sure a healthy family comes from you. You can check out my show every Sunday, 10 to 11 a.m. right here on 97.3 FM.
And we're back. Welcome to Just a Thought. I'm your host, Jeff Spates, and today we're talking about choices. We're talking about the different choices that we make in our careers, our relationships, and as far as well-being as well. And I wanted to kind of continue with the relationship aspect of it. I usually don't talk about relationships a whole lot on Just a Thought, but I felt like it was necessary because, with the choices that have been made this week with the election, I'm seeing families fall apart. I'm seeing relationships fall apart. And so I wanted to kind of weigh in on this section of choice making with the people that we bring and keep in our lives. Now, navigating a wrong choice, one of the things we need to do is have some self reflection. Identifying what led to a choice is key. Why did we choose the person that we're with? You have to sit back and think, if you ever been in a relationship with someone and you end up breaking up with them, it makes you wonder what attracted you to them initially. What made you start talking to them? Was it the way they looked? Was it, the smooth talk? Was it the nice body? Was it the pretty smile, pretty face, whatever, physical features? Um, and is there a pattern? Do you have a type? Someone asked me the other day, what's your type? Well, I can't say that I have a type because what I try to do in my personal relationships is if I'm dating a certain person, I don't necessarily want to date a person like the person I broke up with. Because when you break up with somebody, it's a reason. So you don't want to necessarily repeat that pattern. When we determine that we've made a wrong choice, we need to seek out support. We need to talk to trusted family and friends. And worst case scenario, even if you got to go to therapy, I encourage you to go to therapy. It is okay, it is acceptable to go talk to a professional to help you navigate what's going on inside you. As Black and brown people, we have always been taught that it is a sign of weakness to seek out therapeutic help. But I'm here to tell you it's not. And we deserve to be whole and to be the most healed version of ourselves that we possibly can. Set boundaries, clearly communicate what you and won't tolerate, and be clear about that and be upfront about that in the beginning stages. If you are starting out in a new relationship right now, or if you just met somebody and there are certain things that you didn't like about your past relationships, it's only fair that you bring them up now. And if that person you're talking to agrees or seems to be in line with what you're saying, then that's more of a reason to continue to see if there's a match. But if there is some apprehension, if you find that they, give you a little bit of pushback or they run in their mouth and it doesn't seem like they agree, then that lets you know maybe that's a choice you need to make not to pursue that relationship because they're going to always, overstep their boundaries. Develop an exit plan. If the relationship turns out to be unhealthy, if it turns out to be abusive, if it turns out to be just one of those things that is not elevating you, prioritize your safety. Prioritize your mental safety, your emotional safety, and your physical safety. That's not a situation that you really need to be in if that's what you're looking at. Figure out a way how to remove yourself from those toxic relationships because you deserve to have and live your best life. But it starts with you and you got to make that step. Another thing is also is to practice self-care. No one is going to love you the way that you love you. Reinvest in activities and relationships that nourish you. Put the energy in relationships that make you grow, that make you a better person. Put yourself in relationships where the giving is reciprocal, where it's not you giving and never receiving. I have talked to so many people in the last couple of weeks that said that I am sick of being in relationships, intimate and otherwise, even family relationships, where I'm giving, but never get anything back in return. And we've all experienced that. I'm sure we all go through that on some level. But reinvest in activities and relationships that nourish you. And you also have to learn and grow. Once out of the relationship, take time to understand what you can learn from it. That doesn't mean start dating right away. It doesn't mean jump into bed with someone new or even backtracking and going back to an ex. What it means is reflect and do some intentional thinking on one, what made the relationship fail? What role did I play in it? Because, it's a two-way street. Many people always blame the other person, but you have a part to play in it too. Look at the part that you had to play into the demise of the relationship. Learn and grow from that. Please, please, and thank you. To prevent future wrong choices, though, know your non negotiables. Know what you're going to put up with and know what you're not going to put up with. Clearly define your deal breakers. So, what are some examples of deal breakers in relationships? Some people don't want to date people with young children, especially older guys, older women. They don't want to deal with the baby mama drama, or they don't want to deal with, feeling second, behind a child. They may not want to date a person who smokes or who has tendencies of being an alcoholic. Some deal breakers may be, maybe you have problems with the law, or you have problems with money. You may have problems with physical abuse. Whatever those deal breakers are, whatever your non negotiables are, you owe it to yourself to stick to it. Don't, so many times in relationships, I've been guilty of seeing a red flag and kind of letting it slide and letting it go. And what usually ends up happening is time after time after time, that person continues that behavior. They continue those actions. They continue to do those things that tick me off. And that choice of letting it slide, that's on me. I have no one to blame but myself if I let it slide. And we're all guilty of this. So if there's something that your partner does that really irritates you, that makes you feel bad, I'm not saying go yell and start a fight, but if it affects you, have a conversation with them. But attack that conversation, not yelling and being confrontational. You catch more bees with honey than with vinegar. Be nice about it and say, hey, when you do A, B, and C, this bothers me. Is there something that we can do different? Prioritize your self-love. A full cup allows you to make healthier choices. Ladies and gentlemen, when that cup is full, you take your time when you make decisions because you feel good about things. Your confidence level is higher. You think clearer. You see things clearer. When you know what you want, when you are clear about your goals, when you're clear about your desires, you make healthier choices. Things end up working out better for you. So I encourage you to get into that space. Another thing is slow down. People get into relationships in such a hurry. I was talking to a couple the other day where they had been dating for about 3 months. And good couple, they have good energy, they seem to like each other, and they really look like they're good for each other. But the lady in the relationship, she was talking about how she has a timeline in terms of where she thinks that relationship should be. So they've been dating for 3 months. At the 6 month mark, she wants to meet the parents. And then at 9 months, she wants to meet the kids. And then at a year later, she expects to be proposed to. And then a year and a half, she expects to be married. And there's nothing wrong with having those expectations. There's nothing wrong with wanting those things. But when you move too fast, when you go too fast and not have conversations and not have dialogue about, what you want your relationship to look like, that's why so many relationships fail. They say over half of the marriages end up in divorce. And they also say over 80% of second marriages end up in divorce. So why is that the case? The case is lack of communication. I think people kind of give up a little too easily. I've been accused of giving up too easily in relationships, and maybe that's true. But when you give up in a relationship, it becomes a tug of war about, do you want to put up with this for the rest of your life? Do you want to go in and out of these situations with this person, or do you want to break free from that and, not deal with that? That's kind of the balance that you have to ask yourself. Another thing is always trust your instincts and pay attention to the early signs when something is off. If your person was doing one thing and then they started doing something completely different without explanation or out of the blue, it is your job to ask and not huff and puff and be quiet and be, passive aggressive towards a person. If something bothers you in a relationship, you need to speak up because that other person can't read your mind. And if you are the other person that receives that conversation, don't jump the gun and get all hostile and not hear that person out, because when a person feels something, especially in a relationship, it is very valid. And to be in a healthy relationship, don't dismiss their feelings. Give them an opportunity to, feel valid about those feelings that they have, those emotions that they have. Address it and really, try to find a way to fix it. And last but not least, when it comes to relationships, is seek clarity. Don't ignore or excuse problematic behavior. If a person disrespects you once, it becomes easier for them to do it over and over again. And the more they do it, the more often that it occurs. Don't accept it. Don't ignore it. Don't turn a blind eye to it. You deserve to be treated like a king or a queen that you are. And if you're involved with somebody that always puts you down, that makes you feel less than, that doesn't want to see you grow, that doesn't want to see you happy, and you're always miserable, angry, mad all the time, is that the choice? You have a choice. Do you stay in it, or do you try to do something different? We'll be right back after these messages.
Hey, this is Jeff Spates from Just a Thought. Thought of the day: you won't learn if you think you know everything. Make sure to check out Just a Thought every Sunday, 10 to 11 a.m., right here on 97.3 FM.
And we're back. Welcome to Just a Thought. I'm your host, Jeff Spates, and today we're talking about choices. We talked about the choices we make in our careers. We talked about choices we make in relationships. In this final segment, we're talking about health and wellness choices. And the first choice we need to make is we need to get moving. We can't work all day, sit on the couch, and then wonder why we're gaining all this weight. We got to start moving around. And that's one of the things that I see more and more people have health issues when they don't just get up and walk. Most of the people that we see in the world, we're overweight, we're obese, we don't eat right. Get moving, please. Improve your heart health. Exercise benefits your heart, and having a stronger heart can help lower your risk of cardiovascular disease. Also, boost your brain health. Regular exercise may help improve your cognitive functions, but it also reduces the risk of dementia. I've had a few family members that had dementia and Alzheimer's. And the one thing that I noticed about them is that they stopped exercising and they led a very sedentary life. They sit in front of the TV all day, watching the judge shows, watching the news, watching the ball game. But they never, did anything. They didn't do any walking exercises or cardio, but they breathe heavy walking 5 steps to the bathroom. Improve your mood. Physical activity has also shown that it will decrease depression and it will decrease your anxiety. By getting moving and staying moving and exercising, it helps with weight management. When you move your body, you burn more calories than you would if you were inactive. Burning more calories each day can make it easier to lose weight and keep that weight off. It also helps to strengthen your bones and muscles. Being physically active can keep your bones and muscles strong and make it easier to move around easily, even as you get older. It also helps to reduce chronic diseases. Staying active may help lower your risk of developing type 2 diabetes and some forms of cancer. So if you work in an office and you don't get any exercise, like I said, take 17 minutes a day and just go for a walk. Get some air. Get out in the air. Move around. You'll sleep better. You'll feel better. And eventually you might look better too. Somebody might try to holler at you. Might think you're kind of cute. Um, Eat more whole foods and less processed foods. Some whole food examples are fruits and vegetables, nuts, seeds, eating beans, eating eggs, meat and poultry, fish and seafood, eating yogurt, using olive oil when you cook, eating whole grains like brown rice, oatmeal, things like that. The processed foods, so that's the things that we need to kind of limit and get out of our systems. That means we got to get away from the commercial baked goods, meaning the cakes, the pies, the pastries, and cookies. I love my sweets, and I struggle with it, but I challenge myself, the beginning of October to minimize my sweets because the biggest problem I have is 2 a.m. I wake up and want, a cupcake or I want a cookie, and I've been trying to fight it, and I'm a work in progress just like all of you. So when I'm talking about all this stuff on this show, not only am I talking to you, I'm really talking to myself. Another example of processed foods, chips and crackers, processed meats like hot dogs, lunch meat, sausages, sugar sweetened beverages. I love a good cold Coca-Cola. I used to know people that would drink, a whole 2 liters in a day. That's too much. Boxed rice or pasta dishes, the hamburger helpers. Even though it's easy, those are easy meals to make for a busy week, especially when you're trying to feed your kids or feed your family. That stuff really isn't that good for you. Prepackaged microwavable meals. We live in a quick society where we want things done in a hurry because our schedules are so busy, but that stuff isn't good for you either. White bread, white rice also are said to not be good. Flavored yogurts. I love my blueberry and strawberry yogurts, especially with the little fruit on the bottom of the cup. Even though I think I'm eating healthy, that stuff really isn't good for you. And ice cream. Man, especially on a summer day, give me a good root beer float. Give me a nice ice cream cone. It don't really matter the flavor. A good butter pecan, a strawberry, a Superman flavor. I'm guilty of eating all of those things, but those things ultimately aren't good for you. So I'm not saying to cut them all out exclusively or right now, but the key word to focus in on when it comes to this is moderation. We smoke too much. We drink too much. We do things too much. If we learn to live in moderation, we'll be in good shape. According to scientific research, though, poor nutrition can increase your risk. It can cause weight gain. It can cause heart disease, type 2 diabetes, some types of cancer, including uterine cancer, breast cancer, and postmenopausal women, colorectal cancer. So, again, the example of these processed foods, commercial baked goods, the cakes, pies, pastries, cookies, Twinkies. We ain't supposed to eat them. Moderation, though. Chips and crackers. I love my Triscuits, saltines in my soup. Those are good, but they're not good for you. Processed meats, the hot dogs, the lunch meats, the sausages. Man, I was up in Chicago a few months ago and Detroit, and those places got the two best hot dogs in the world. As good as they taste, sometimes that stuff isn't good for you. Again, moderation. Sugar sweetened beverages, the Cokes, the high sugar drinks, the fruit punches, Those things aren't necessarily good for you, but again, moderation. Boxed rice, pasta dishes, pre-packed microwavable meals. Even though we're busy and you can put food on the table quickly, quick doesn't always mean better. White bread, white rice, flavored yogurt, ice cream, we got to use those in moderation as well. One thing that I'm guilty of is I'm a cigar smoker, and I was a long-time cigarette smoker. And I've been told for years that these things aren't good for you, but I'm encouraging you, if you smoke, try to quit. And I'm on that bandwagon with you. As we know, smoking causes heart disease. Tobacco is the leading cause of premature death from cardiovascular disease. Smoking can cause stroke. Smoking damages our blood vessels, excuse me, making them stiffer and narrower, easy for me to say. This not only increases your risk of heart attack, but can put you at risk for a stroke also. It can also cause respiratory diseases. The damage caused by smoking to the airways and air sacs in your lungs greatly increase your risk for COPD, also known as chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Lung cancers and other cancers are a result of smoking. Approximately 80% of lung cancers can be attributed to tobacco use. And according to the American Cancer Society, smoking can also increase your risk of many other types of cancer, including cancer of the bladder, your mouth, stomach, pancreas, colon, and among others. Another thing we need to look at is making sleep a priority. If you don't get enough sleep, your body will have a harder time working properly. Sleep deprivation can cause high blood pressure. It can cause cardiovascular diseases. It can cause metabolic syndrome, type 2 diabetes, anxiety, depression, mood changes, mood swings. It weakens your immune system, so you get sick more often. And it also can trigger some types of cancers. When you sleep, you got to create a dark, quiet, comfortable environment. If you got to use blackout curtains, if you have to use an eye mask, do it. Turn down the thermometer. Make sure the room is at a good temperature. Me, myself, I use a sleep app where I hear rain. I love the sound of rain while I'm sleeping. And it's best for sleeping, and make sure your mattress and pillows are comfortable. You use earplugs if you need to block out noise. And especially when it's time to go to bed, put your phone down. I am guilty of this, where I'll lay in bed, I'll be scrolling on my phone. And many electronic devices emit this blue light that can keep your brain alert, making it harder to fall asleep. Turn off these devices at least an hour before you go to bed. Stay hydrated, exercise, spend time outdoors in the sun, especially in warmer weather. Drink plenty of fluids. And also, too, if you drink alcohol, be responsible about it. Again, in moderation. Be aware of your blood pressure, your cholesterol, and start putting some good things in your body. Breathing exercises, muscle relaxation exercises. Be creative in how you do to make yourself feel better. So I want to leave you with a final thought. Friends, have you ever stopped to think about the power of a single choice? One moment, one decision, and suddenly your entire life trajectory shifts. It's mind-boggling. The choices we make today, no matter how small they seem, have the potential to shape the person we become years down the line. Think about it. The choice to take a job, the choice to end that relationship, the choice to move to a new city. These are the moments that define our journey. And here's the amazing part. We have the power to make the choices every day. We get to decide who we want to be and what we want our life to look like. But I know it's not easy. I know that there's going to be days when the doubts creep in, when fears whisper in, what if I fail? What if you make the wrong choice? But here's what I want you to remember. There's no such thing as a wrong choice. Every choice, every experience is an opportunity to learn, to grow, to become the best version of yourself. So I want you to not be afraid to make choices. Don't be held back by the fear of the unknown. Embrace it. Step into it, because on the other side of your fear is a life of incredible possibility and a life you can't even imagine yet. So go out there and make those choices. Choose to take risks, to pursue your dreams, to become the person you know you're meant to be. Your future self is counting on you. Let's do this. And that's our episode for today, folks. If you like what you heard, and you can always get a daily dose of motivation if you check out my social medias. You can find me on Instagram at Just a Thought J Spates 70 or TikTok at Just a Thought J Spates 70. Be sure to follow and share. And if you decide to follow, let me know that you heard me on 97.3 FM. With that said, hopefully today's episode will help keep the cup full this week as you continue to make choices. We'll catch you next week. Peace.